Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my beauty lies. I'm not cute to suit a fashion model size. When they ask me why it is so, I say it's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my walk, and the curl of my lips. I am woman phenomenal, phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into the room as cool as can be. And to the men, they stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swerve around me like a hive of honeybees. I say it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the sway of my waist, and the joy in my feet. For I am woman phenomenal, phenomenal woman. That's me. Men even wonder what they see in me. They try, but they just can't touch that inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say it's the arch in my back, the sun in my smile, the rise of my chest, and the grace of my style. For I am woman phenomenal, phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand why my head is not bowed. I do not shout, jump about, or talk real loud. When you see me walking, you ought to be proud. I say it's the click of my heels, the bit in my hair, the palm of my hand, and need to care. For I am woman phenomenal, phenomenal woman. That's me. That's my mother, your mother, my grandmother, your grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, and all of you.
Wow, greetings, fellow storytellers and most welcome guests. It's your girl, Pamela, the storyteller, and today's host. Welcome you back to the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers' fourth monthly Friday Story Hour of Power. And as we transition from the cold, to the spring with the warmth, oh yeah, gee, thank God. And wasn't that just warming? Let's give a round of applause or just some show your love to Gwen for that phenomenal woman, Elder Gwen. Ooh, phenomenally. Yes, you are. And yes, we are, as we now, transition also into celebrating the National Women's Month. This evening, we have three sensational women. The women tell us that, are just sure to enlighten, entertain, and or empower. You know what? Just sit back, relax, feel the warmth, coming from our first teller, Elder Vicky Slaughter. Yeah, she's a retired educator who worked in special education. And she did that for more than 35 years, promoting enjoyment of reading through playmaking for multiple handicapped, most often nonverbal student actors. Wow. And after 15 years, she was awarded a fellowship at the University of Wisconsin in African literature. All right now, Elder Slaughter. She continued to work, but she worked through DABS, through the Detroit Association of Storytellers, hosting our annual December holiday storytelling festival, alternating between, the Michigan Festival, the Children's Museum, and Detroit Public Libraries around the city. 18 years and counting. That's sensational. Uh-huh. or should I say phenomenal. Now, as a published author, she continues to write, develop, and tell stories virtually for various organizations. Please place all eyes and all ears on Elder Vicky, that is Elder Vicky Slaughter, as our former president, 2005-2007 term from DABS. All eyes on Vicky.
Somebody's knocking at your door. Somebody's knocking at your door. Oh, sinner, why don't you answer? Somebody's knocking at your door. When I was just 6 years old, the civil rights movement came knocking at my door. Did you hear what I said? When I was just 6 years old, the civil rights movement came knocking at my door when I should have been learning my ABCs and how to tie my shoelaces. The civil rights movement came knocking at my door when I should have been playing hopscotch and skipping rope. The civil rights movement came knocking at my door. Did you hear what I said? When I was just 6 years old, the civil rights movement came knocking at my door when I should have been waiting for the tooth fairy. We waited instead on the night riders. When I was just 6 years old, the civil rights movement came knocking at my door. My name is Lady Vicky, the storyteller, and today I'm going to share with you a story about Ruby Bridges and how the civil rights movement came knocking at your door, because see, it can come knocking anytime. It doesn't matter what age you are. So I'm going to tell the story of Ruby Bridges' strength and where it came from. I'm going to tell it as if I'm her. My name is Ruby Bridges. I was born in Tylertown, Mississippi, September 8th, 1954, right in the midst of the civil rights movement. Brown versus the Board of Education had just been passed, and they made it illegal for us to have so-called separate but equal, because it wasn't equal education. But that happened in 1954. My parents were sharecroppers. My parents were sharecroppers. Their parents were sharecroppers. But when technology came to the cotton field and the cornfield, my parents were out of work. So what they had to do, they went to New Orleans, and my mother worked cleaning the hotel rooms, and my father worked in the gas station pumping gas, and I worked taking care of my 4 brothers and sisters. I was 4 years old. Anyway, I went to a segregated elementary school for kindergarten. And finally, the state of Louisiana decided that they would integrate. And how they did it, they started with the first grade, and they would add a grade every year.
until it would be integrated. So the year that I was to start first grade, they had at least 500 African American children come and be tested by psychologists. And out of those, they found about 7 or 8 that they felt could learn and go to a white school. And I was one of them. There were supposed to be 2 of us to go to William France. And William France was the school in my neighborhood. It was about 4 blocks away. My father was afraid for me to go. But the NAACP came and they convinced my mother. And my mother said, she'll be fine. Nothing's going to happen to her. So I got all ready to go to school that September. And guess what? The state had passed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 33 laws to prevent the schools from being integrated. So anyway, the circuit court judge decided to strike them down. So he started striking them down one by one. And so by November, just around Thanksgiving, it was time for me to finally start to school. So the day that I started to school, my mother and I, we got up and we put on our best Sunday go to meeting clothes. My mother put a nice bow right here in my hair. And I had my little books and my little purse. And the federal marshals came to our house. And they had on yellow bands on their jacket. And the ones that were with me, they had guns. They didn't know that I saw them, but they had guns right here. So we got in the car and we started driving towards William Marshall. But it took us more than an hour to get there. And I heard all this racket and I said, oh, it must be festival time, even though it was November. And then I heard what all the cheering was about. And they were saying, 2, 4, 6, 8, we don't want to integrate. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The South will rise again. I knew it wasn't festival time then. So when we got to the school, the marshals told me and my mother just to stay between them and not to look to either side. But it was horrible. The people were yelling and they were screaming. One lady had a little black baby doll on a rope in a coffin and she said, this is going to be you. So we finally got into school and we sat down in the office. But nothing happened. I didn't go to school, so we came back home. Well, the next day they said that my mother would have to stay at home and I had to go by myself. Well, they had a problem too because all the teachers refused to teach me. I was only a 6-year-old little girl. So they had to find another teacher for me. She was from the East Coast. And her husband was in the service there. Her name was Barbara Henry. And she said, I'll teach her. So they finally found me a teacher. And, you know, every night we would pray. And we would hold hands. And my mother and father would pray that God would protect me and that things would work all right. And my mother told me, you know, anytime you have a problem, you know, just put your hands together and pray. Well, one day when the federal agents picked me up, the people were yelling and screaming and carrying on so much that I stopped right in the middle and I prayed for those people because apparently they didn't know what they were doing. Well, school was good at first, My teacher taught me how to read, how to write. But I got lonely. I was so lonely. She would go eat lunch with the other teachers. And while she was eating lunch with the other teachers, she found out that there were at least 13 other kids that were actually going to school there. But it was still so lonely. I started not eating my lunch. I would hide my lunch in the bookshelves. I would pour my milk in the glue container. Soon we had visitors, mice and roaches. And the teacher decided she had to do something about it. So what she threatened the administration, she said, well, if you don't let her at least play with them on the playground, I'm going to go back to the judge and get him to hand down some more laws. So anyway, school went okay after that. By the time the fall came around, the people had gone back to work. The housewives had gone back to their homes and their kitchens, and there was no problem. So in the fall, what happened is that I was not given an escort anymore or a ride to school. The next grade, I was in the second grade, so there were other children added to the second grade and other African American children added to the first grade. And so there was no problem. But I did get harassed, would you believe, by the teachers for being the first person to integrate the school there. I grew up, I got married, and I had a family. I didn't remember too much about those things. I was just like going to work, coming back home, with kind of no memories of that. I just kind of blocked it out. Then my teacher, Barbara Henry, she looked me up. And we talked about those things. And it's like I just changed. So now I'm considered an activist, a philanthropist. I'm a writer. I have written at least 3 books about my experiences. And I want to tell you, I want you to know, you don't ever know when the civil rights movement will come knocking at your door. Ruby Bridges' strength. Thank you, Vicki Slaughter, the storyteller.
Just tell me one thing. Can you feel the strength of Ruby Bridges? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking of strength, Mama Jantu, she comes to mind. That's right, Mama Jantu is a garage. She is a storyteller who weaves stories together like an, you know, ooh, how they spin their webs. Now, stories from African history, slavery, Juneteenth, and freedom, folk tales. And previously she inspires everyone that she talks to. She gets into the character. True life stories about trust, characters about hope, preservations, and inspiration. Mm. She's clever and engaging. She's an engaging teller at that. Now, when you talk about Mama John too, she's not just engaging. She's vivid, colorful, and she is animated. You will surely be enlightened and entertained. One thing to note additionally, Mama John too has performed for museums such as the Charles H. Wright African American, the Arab American, the Historical Museums, King Atu of Nigeria, Africa, and many, many, many libraries, churches, and synagogues. She's not only a long-term member, but she's the current president of the association here. Let's show our love for Mama John too. Come on.
My name is Sister Rita Jones. I am an African-American opera singer, a soprano. I shattered the racial barriers. Born Matilda Sirietta Joyner Jones, January 5th, 1868. I lived in Portsmouth, Virginia. My dad was once enslaved. He was a minister, a devout Methodist, and literate and educated. My mother sang in the church choir, working as a domestic after moving to Providence, Rhode Island. I was always singing. I sang in high C in the choir. Everyone thought I should study music. An unknown benefactor arranged for me to study music. I attended the Providence Academy of Music in 1888. Later, I was granted permission to study at the New England Conservatory of Music. I got my big break in the mid-1880s. It was a packed house in Boston's Music Hall. 5,000 people were in the audience. But it was later in New York's Wallack's Theater, the manager of the famed Adelina Patti was so impressed with my voice and talent that he recommended that I tour and travel with the Fifth Jubilee Singers. It was grand touring in the Caribbean. For just about 5 years, I toured, singing here, singing there, singing everywhere. Then one day, a theater critic, journalist, named me the Black Patti after the Italian opera singer Adelina Patti. I wanted to be known as Madame Jones, not Black Patti. No, I did not want anyone to think that I was a commiserate to Miss Patti. I had a voice. I wanted to sing. Luck was on my side when I was asked to sing for President Benjamin Harris at the White House in 1891. Although my voice was enjoyed by 4 United States presidents, including the royal British family in England. It was in Madison Square Gardens. The crowd was numbered at 75,000. I sang Suwannee River and Charles Gonat's Ave Maria. I hit notes so high that the audience was in awe at my range of notes in soprano. I became an international performer, performing in places like India, Australia, South America, Europe, Africa, and the United States of America. I was the highest paid African American opera singer of my time. Yet, never did I get the chance to appear on an operatic stage because no white musician would play for me. No white opera theaters would have me perform. They were not looking for Black opera singers. They weren't looking for me because my skin was Black. Years later, I created the Black Patty Troubadours, a musical and comedy company. We featured acrobatics, jugglers, dancers, and comedians. And of course, there were over 40 highly trained and talented singers. For 20 years, we defined ourselves with popularity in Canada and abroad. The newspapers would hail us as the greatest. And for me, I was told that I was the greatest singer of my race. Yet, I never graced an operatic stage. To the Black Patty Musical Comedy Theater is what I changed it to later because of the acrobatics and the jugglers and the dancers and the comedians. Sometime in 1915, I decided to retire. I wanted to stop and smell the roses. To my surprise, the Rhode Island Hall of Fame inducted me into their Hall of Fame in 2013. While there are no recordings of my voice, because during that time, Blacks did not record their voices. And as I said, no white musicians would play for me. Yet, I was known around the world and given medals made of diamonds and emeralds and gold. And at my performances, I proudly wore these medals on my beautiful gowns. Did you know that I earned and was making $2,000 a week? Yes, I was the highest paid African American singer. I shattered the racial barrier, yet I never graced an operatic stage. I was never in an operatic production. This is my story and my song. I am Cicerita, Madam of Song. Thank you.
Wow. The music, my music. Let's give it up. Come on now. You know how we do. For Mama John too. Wow. Tell you what, let's sit tight. I'll be right back. We got a quick break. After this very important message, I'm going to come back and close out with the final sensational 3. Be right back.
Detroit Association of Black Storytellers hope you are enjoying this program. We will send you back in just a moment. If you have enjoyed any of our broadcasts last season, 2020, and this season, 2021, or been in person to see our concerts, or endured it in our podcast, we would like you to take a moment and send us a donation so that we can keep bringing you these amazing stories in programs such as tonight. It is as simple as going to PayPal. Type in DetroitAbs@gmail.com. That's DetroitAbs@gmail.com and donate. Or mail us a check. The address is Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, P.O. Box 441004, 1401 West 4th Street, Detroit, Michigan 48224. Your gift will be highly appreciated. Thank you. And now back to this amazing concert.
Well, all right. Now that was indeed an important message. Let's just all take heed. But now we're back. We're back to introduce that final speaker. Last but not, I should say certainly not least, is none other than Laura Franklin, known as Zimmy. Now, she's a storyteller that loves telling stories. Ms. Franklin has worked for 31 years in the Detroit public schools as an elementary, middle school, science teacher. Ms. Franklin uses fables, folk tales, and personal experience stories that encourage positive messages of working together in unity with love and a bit of laughter. Yes, a bit of that humor goes a long way. Now, Mrs. Franklin, she's not only a member of the Detroit Association of Storytellers, but she also belongs to Detroit Story League. She has performed at community centers, schools, cultural events, and various churches. Mrs. Franklin wants you to know that she is humble and ever so grateful to have an opportunity to pass on a little bit of love through the art of storytelling. So it would be also fitting for us to show some love one more time, this time for Zimmy.
At the time, I didn't know I knew a real live superhero. Yes, they do exist. This superhero can complete complex tasks 10 or more with speed and precision. This superhero has the power to know when a person is telling the truth or a lie. This superhero knows what you're going to say, do before you even say or do it. This superhero has only to look your way and you will obey. Yes, this superhero is with me all the time. But I didn't realize it until the day my superhero saved my life. Now, I lived in Detroit with my mom, my dad, my sister. My brother came later on. We lived in a colonial. That means the bedrooms are upstairs with a bathroom, and you go down the stairs. It's like a landing, and then you turn and you walk down the rest of the stairs, and there will be the living room, dining room. You know, the place where you can see, but you can't go in and play. Only guests could go in there. But there was a special spot in that living room where I could be. See, there was a half wall that separated the hallway from the living room. And then there was another half wall that separated the living room from the dining room. And where they met, that was my corner. Yes, there was a heating vent there. And ooh, I could be in that corner and I could snuggle up and be nice and warm and cozy. That was my special place. Now, that's not really where the story began. See, it began the year of, I don't really remember the year. And I think I don't remember how old I was either. But I was a child that was fascinated with a lot of things. In this particular time, I was fascinated with these rectangles that had slits in them, looked like eyes, and you find them all over different walls. And I would see people in the house, they put something in that rectangle, and then all of a sudden the light would turn on, or the radio would turn on, or the toaster would turn on. And I was wondering what's going on. They just go up and stuff would turn on. So me, being a curious child, I would go up to where I saw one of those rectangles with them eyes looking at me, and I would look, but I didn't see anything in there. So now I would get closer and I would look closer. It was dark in there. So, well, maybe I could hear something. I put my ear up to see if I could hear. Nothing. But there were times my parents would see me and say, girl, you better get away from there. Stop messing with that. You're going to get yourself hurt. Leave that alone. Now, you know, you tell a kid to leave something alone. Well, I was curious. But there were other things that were more fascinating. So I left that alone. Now, we had Sunday night was a time that the family would get together. And it turns out that in our house we had black and white TVs. But this time my parents bought a color TV set and they put it in their bedroom. So on Sunday nights, we'll be able to go upstairs and watch the color television. My mom and dad would be on the bed and we would be at the foot of the bed on the floor watching the variety shows. Well, this one particular time, I don't know where my sister was, and I'm sitting there, and the TV set is here, but there's an opening where you could kind of like put books on it. But then I looked, I saw some eyes looking at me. Now, anytime I wanted to do something, I had to wait, until my parents would like fall asleep or so. Sure enough, they started drifting off to sleep, and I don't know what it was, but something shiny was somewhere on the floor, and I picked it up. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a knife, but it was something shiny, and it had a little bit of wood to it. I said, you know what? Maybe. So I took the object, and I crawled through a little bit, and I got close to the rectangle with them eyes. And I took the shiny object and I went like on one side. Nothing happened. I went on the other side. Nothing happened. I said, well, maybe I should go a little closer. So then I started to ease a little closer. And then, that object flew across the room. And at the same time, the lights flickered and the TV went. My parents would go, what happened? What happened? Well, I had to tell them what happened. Child, I got the tongue lashing of my life. I was told if I ever went near there, I was going to get the spanking for days. And as they're going on and talking about electricity and this and that and how I'm going to get hurt, the only thing I was thinking was, wow, did you see that? It went right across the room. That was neat. Well, needless to say, time went on, and my parents continuously reminded me about leaving those rectangles alone. And I did leave it alone. I had other things I was interested in. That's another story. But one day my mom came home. She's a nurse. And as a nurse, they wear all white dress with the white belt, white shoes, and then they had that nurse's hat that was white on the top of their head. And before she was going upstairs to change, she asked me a few questions about my day and things like that in the whole 9 yards. But I was hearing the furnace go off. And I wanted to quickly get through talking to my mom because I wanted to get to my favorite spot. So we finished talking, and I could hear that furnace kicking on. And she goes up the stairs, and I get to my favorite spot. Ooh, and I'm getting ready to lay down when something poked me. And I picked it up. It was this. Somehow or another, I looked over and I could see some eyes looking at me. And I thought, I looked around, make sure my mama was where she was, and nobody else was around, and I said, I wonder how far this gonna go. So again, I get close, and I took it, and I rubbed it on one side. You see, I forgot how to do it. That didn't happen. Maybe it was the other side. Then I rubbed it on that side. Nothing happened. Maybe I should put it in. And as I was getting ready to just put it close, I said, wait a minute. There's two sides to this. Maybe I should put it in both. And then it go further. So now I opened it up just a little bit more to put it in. I said, oh, no. It wouldn't go in both. So then I opened it up even wider. Yeah. And then I went. So I'm just going to get a little close. I'm not going to get too close. Oh, nothing happening. I get a little closer, just a little closer. Oh, I'm waiting. Get a little closer. Can't control myself. I try. Then a girl sound comes out of my mouth. And I see in the distance my mother. And I say, oh, I'm getting ready to get up in that. Oh, I'm in so much pain. And then she steps away, and then she comes back with a broom and says, I gotta get up in there now. I can't tell you what happened next. I don't know who spoke to me. I don't remember if I was crying. I didn't even know that I had burned my hand. The last miraculous memory I have of that situation is seeing my superhero dressed in all white with a face of determination. In honoring Women's Month, I honor all mothers. It's not that mothers gave birth or gave up so much of their dreams to build a strong foundation for their child. Mothers make great sacrifices to make sure that their child has the chance to survive by providing them with whatever. Then in extraordinary circumstances, mothers are willing to do whatever. Now, as a side note, back then, manufacturers weren't thinking anything about safety and childproof in a house at all. But by the time my brother came around, the house was so childproof that nobody could get into anything. But back there for me, I didn't know it. I was living with a superhero. Remember, superheroes organize and complete complex tasks 10 or more with speed and precision. My superhero not only gave me life, but saved my life. My superhero is my mom, Bernice Hill Williams. Thank you.
Wow, my superhero. Yes. Thanks, Storytellers Envy. Now, when you talk about superheroes during National Women's Month, we would be remiss not to acknowledge and thank DABS, two founders, Elder Amy Jackson and Anita Timmons. It's because they were proactive enough, seriously, to form an affiliate local group of the National Association of Black Storytellers in Detroit, such as DABS. And that's actually how Detroit Association of Black Storytellers came about. Born October 31st, 1991. Therefore, we say, asante to both of them. Yes, asante once, asante twice, asante 3 times for letting Jesus the Christ lead you away. Asante. Here's to 30 plus more years. And as a matter of fact, let me just take a moment here to not only thank them, but many thanks to each of you, as well as our sensational tellers on this evening, the behind the scenes crew in the studio, and more importantly, again, to each of you for tuning in support of this program. That message earlier, again, please take a minute to subscribe to this YouTube page. If you want to receive notifications on when our program starts. And if you have enjoyed our stories over the years and you want to partner with us, you can find our donation page on PayPal. So please know that your donations will help us to continue to pass on our rich, history and our culture through the art of storytelling and stories for many years to come. And for this, we thank you in advance. Well, that's all I got this evening, folks. And again, it's your girl, Pamela, the storyteller, and immediate former vice president of the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers. I'm thanking you for this opportunity to guest host on this evening. See you next time right here, same channel, same time. God bless. Back to you in the studios. Get away.
Thank you for attending tonight's program presented by Detroit Association of Black Storytellers. All rights of DAB's Fourth Friday Story Hour is a copyright of Detroit Association of Black Storytellers and cannot be rebroadcasted or re-recorded without the written permission and a written consent of the Detroit Association of Black Stories Incorporated. If you missed any of tonight's performance, you can tune into DAB's podcast for a replay of this broadcast on buzzsprouts.com or come to the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers YouTube page right here and watch the entire program again. If you live in the Detroit area and have interest in becoming a storyteller, please contact DABS at dabstorytellers@gmail.com. That's dabstorytellers@gmail.com or call 313-442-3227. That's 313-442-3227. If you happen to live outside of the Detroit area and are interested in becoming a storyteller, please visit the National Association of Black Storytellers website or call 410-947-1117. That's 410-947-1117. Or email them at questions@nabsinc.org. That's questions@nabsinc.org. NABS will connect with you and a storyteller association in a city near you. Hello, everyone. The Detroit Association of Black Storytellers are so pleased you joined us from the cold of winter to the warmth of spring. Join us next month as we bring you another exciting story hour. Spring is the season of rejuvenation. Come rejuvenate with us Friday, April 22nd, 2022. Concert time at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:55. Right here on Detroit Association YouTube page. We have 3 amazing storytellers, Leah Rich, Shaquita McKenzie, and Pam Jones, with your host, Mama John 2. Take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube page so that you never miss this program starting time or any other new content we may post. Subscribing is free. Again, thank you for joining us from the cold of winter to the warmth of spring, with stories by Laura Franklin, Mama Jantu, and Elder Vicky Slaughter, with your host, Pamela Williams. Our music director is Michelle McKinney. Our production engineer is Jasmine Ross. Production director, Tone Ross. Program director, Larry Castleberry. Along with the Detroit Association of Black Storytellers, we thank you for attending the Dad's Fourth Friday Story Hour. See everyone Friday, April 22nd, 7 p.m. Spring is the reason of rejuvenation. Come rejuvenate with dads. Please be safe. Peace and blessings to you all. Until next time, Ashe.